rounds remain. Momentum has swung in favor of Ben Perez. The two-time champ might appear to be set for another crown with his large points lead, but if there's one thing this season has proven, it's that nothing is guaranteed. Lady Luck is a fickle mistress and has turned her back on anyone she pleases, regardless of their skill or reputation. Will today see another unexpected twist in our story? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, Road America is one of those tracks that's popular both in the sim and in real life. Why is it so well loved?
Well, it's just so well loved. It's just one of the most popular tracks. It's a beautiful layout, 14 turns, a 4-mile track or 6.5-kilometer track located in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. This track is one of the largest racetracks here in the United States. Opened up in 1955. Some of the biggest races were held here, from the Can-Am series to the full old days of the Camel GT and IMSA, such as the Road America 500, which in 1957 Phil Hill won in a Ferrari 315 Sport. To this day, we see a wide variety of sports car racing, from IMSA, SCCA, even IndyCar, and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It is also one of the few tracks that has never had a major course configuration change as well. To let you fans see what our GTE drivers will be facing on this high-speed track, let's take you on a GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Imola. As we straight line the kinks along the front stretch, you're going to be sizing up your braking point into Tamburello. There's a difficult bend right where you want to slow the car up, so be careful not to clip the outside grass. Then, at the chicane, don't let the car swing too wide at the second apex. Ideally, you want control and the ability to give a little room to make that final kink flat out. From there, we approach Villeneuve, which is tempting to take faster on its more open first. Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Road America. The front stretch is by far the longest and fastest straight on the circuit, so turn 1 is easily going to be a good passing zone. Expect a few draft battles to erupt here, and of course to be finished in this first corner. But this is a pretty rapid turn. It's only down 2 gears and then you're back on the power trying to avoid understeering into the dirt. You've got a short blast down to 3, which is definitely one of the more important corners you'll navigate. Don't worry about your entry here so much as your exit. There's a lot of time to be lost if you get back to the gas late. That's because you're now on the moraine sweep. It's not exactly straight, so keep that in mind when you're battling with someone so that you don't drift into one another. But the real reason you see a lot of passes here is the heavy braking into turn 5. However, remember that this is a pretty decent drop down hill and it'll be embarrassingly easy to outbrake yourself. Then you climb back into turn 6. The difficulty here is that the crest makes the window for braking very narrow. Wait too long, the car will just slide its way into the gravel. After that comes turn 7. As fast as this corner is, you'll need a lift to make it through. Now you're into the hurry downs. Surprisingly, despite the short run, you'll see passes into here from time to time. It's pretty sharp, so there's lots of braking, and that creates opportunities. This brings us into the famous carousel. Try to be patient as you swing the car through here. A later apex will do you much better than getting greedy on the power and having to make a sudden lift. Then, once you finally exit the corner, you'll see the notorious kink. As much downforce as this GTE car has, you still can't take this flat out. Precision is critical because as you fly through the kettle bottoms, a lack of speed will make you susceptible to an attack into Canada Corner. Try to straighten out this braking zone and then get the car turned in. You don't have much time after that before you're taken into turn 13. This blind crest is tricky in just about any car and is another thread-the-needle situation in the Ford. Finally, there's the last corner. This is another one I'd advise to not ruin your exit on. Now that we're coming back to the front stretch, carrying your momentum is of the utmost importance. You don't want to find yourself a sitting duck on your way to turn 1. Climb up the hill, hold it to the left, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Road America.
Here you see a relatively long lap around Road America. Thankfully, not too long with the power that these GTE cars have underneath them. Now, this round of the Precision Racing League is, in fact, brought to you by LeagueGaming.com, the home for competitive esports. If you love hockey, soccer, Rocket League, or other sports, League Gaming is the place for your virtual career. You can find them at leaguegaming.com. It's also sponsored by the Fluffy Kitty Ninjas show on Twitch. Hockey, racing, baseball, and other adventures await you when you combine 3 of the coolest things on the internet into one show. Head to Twitch and hit that follow button for FKN Commish LB. That said, we've got qualifying happening right now, but before we cover that, even though there are some times on the board, we want to bring you the points update because it has changed a little bit since the last round. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, Ben Perez extends his lead over Daniel Pinto. 19 seconds now between them, or excuse me, 19 points between them, I should say. And Pinto has no drop weeks to spare while Ben does. Christian Eisler falls even farther back, in fact, slips all the way to 3rd with his incident at the start of last race, really setting him back even more. He's going to have some phenomenal stuff to beat Perez for the rest of the season. Landini has been pretty consistent and worked himself up to 4th. And Aaron Thacker jumps up 2 positions to reach the top 5. He's one of the few drivers to have gotten consistent top 5s all season long. That said, we also have a teams championship we keep track of in this league. Taylor, what are we looking at for that?
Well, looking at the team championship, it is still Team Bushfink Racing with Perez and Barry still the points leaders by 13 points over their rivals of Eisler and Landini of the SDS Racing Onyx team. HJ Motorsports is 99 points back with the excellent run that Thacker has been doing along with Justin Hall. In the 4th position, after gaining a position at last round at Imola, Ferrari Apex Button Box team has gotten into the 4th position, dropping Sailor Racing Team, the 2 Porsches of Pinto and Paus, down to the 5th position. So it's a real tight battle between SDS and Team Bushfink with only a few races left in the series.
I'm sure most of our viewers have been watching this series since the start of this season, but in case you haven't, and this is your first time tuning in, here's the race details. We are in round 8 of 10, as I said at the start. Only 3 to go, including this one, so chances are waning for anybody to overtake Perez. There's the 3 makes of cars that are competing within this same class, the Porsche, the Ferrari, and the Ford. And today's race, the sprint distance for them, 45 minutes, means you can expect 1 pit stop because they have limited the fuel in these GTE cars there you see down there. The thing that you see next to it, setups open, well, that means that drivers can change these cars in any way that they can in the real world. The setup of the cars can be tweaked to the nth degree to make sure that they're comfortable, just like any driver and engineer in the real cars can. Incident cap is at 30. What that means is that drivers who have an off track, who spin or hit another car or the wall, collect an incident point. If you collect 30 of those incident points, you are disqualified on the spot. Your car disappears and you cannot finish the race. They do not have any fast repairs. There are no spare cars waiting for them in the pit lane in this league. So, as Bill Zahn likes to say, you break it, you bought it. Right now, looking at the qualifying, Christian Eisler is leading the qualifying over Ben Perez. We're looking at Christian right now, and he's got about, let's see, actually almost a second over Perez right now, but it's much closer between Eisler and Pinto. Excuse me, no, it's 2/10 between Perez and Eisler. I was looking at practice times, but incredibly tight between Eisler and Pinto. Less than a 1/10 between them, Taylor.
Yes, indeed. Pinto, this is going to be hopefully his night tonight for him. He's been running really well, had 6 top 5s out of the last 7 starts, so Pinto is really going to be focused on with this race.
Yeah, and still waiting for his first win in this series. I'm sure would feel good to see Daniel, even though he's a rookie, to be able to take one this season, considering how many second places he's managed to rack up. Newcomer that we thought was going to make it interesting last time, but only lasted until about turn 2 or 3. William Whalen got caught up in the incident at the start of the race. And I think his qualifying, he's elected to finish it. Yeah, he's just taken to the pits, but he's going to be starting 4th. He'll get another chance to show what he's made of in race trim. And speaking of being in race trim, Taylor, what are the keys to today's race? What's going to get you that victory?
Well, one of the big things is Road America has that nice long front straightaway. That's going to be an excellent opportunity for our drivers to use that draft down the front straightaway in order to set up a pass to turn 1. We might be seeing several drivers trying to use that to slingshot past their competition or overbrake in them into turn 1. Another point is to make sure not to use too much brake. Such corners as going down into turn 5, that's going to be a very difficult place to make a pass. Excellent, but also difficult. So we're going to have to be definitely watching drivers going down into turn 5. Another point is making sure that your car is stable enough to go down through the kink. The kink might seem like a high-speed corner to make through, that flat out, but otherwise, if you do not place your car properly, as we've seen in many forms of motorsports, that car will wash up towards the track and end up taking you into the wall and ending your night really early. So drivers need to be careful.
This is one of our 4GT drivers, Danny Duchesne, and now we're watching Hugo Galaz complete his lap. Where is Hugo currently? 26, a little bit farther down than we're used to from him. He's only got one timed lap in. This will be his second one. Does he improve? He does, but only up 2 positions. Hugo's got a ways to go. Hopping over to Lobato. He's going to complete his lap. Also only has one timed lap in. And this one is not going to count. So 2 of his 3 laps so far are unfortunately had off tracks or something that discounted it. We take a look at Kita sitting in 18th at the moment. Across the line also doesn't count. Now, I did not expect to see this. We're seeing a number of drivers here, Taylor, having their laps disqualified because they had an off track.
Yeah, it's really surprising. I mean, the track is pretty much a wide area in some parts, but apparently they must be going over the curbs a little bit to where that tire just gives them that 1X, or maybe even losing control of the car somewhere. So I don't see any of these cars coming down to the line have any damage, as we see Michael Overvey set a new fastest lap for himself personally in the 10th position. So let's see what Ben Perez does now as he's coming to the line. If he improves, yes he does, a little bit. And
not his position.
Not his position. So this is a really tight battle between these top 3.
Gonna watch Matthew Fraley. Drivers. Oh, and he's decided to abandon the lap. So there goes that for Matthew. Broton's going to be coming around and crossing the line at 202.532 is not faster for him. So 9th is still his best. Landini, one of our top runners, with only 1 timed lap and still only 1 timed lap in. He's had 4 tries at it, and this is going to be his last opportunity as we are under the 2-minute mark. A number of drivers. I was asking this before the broadcast, before we went live, Taylor, that I was kind of worried how many laps these guys were going to be able to get in. Galaz obviously not going to get any more in.
That was a nice little drift he had going into pit road. Didn't even hit anything. That was impressive.
Not the kind of entry you really want, though. So.
No, indeed not. But one thing we do need to mention about with pit road is, you know, we might see some drivers making a pit stop early on in the race. This is a big enough track to where you won't go a lap down as quickly for these drivers. So maybe we might see some of those back runners maybe consider pitting early on in the race in order to maybe advance position when the front runners start coming down. So we might see some new faces up towards the front tonight.
Well, they're pretty familiar ones up at the front right now. As Ellison comes across, I want to go to Perez because he's still in 3rd and still trying to overtake Pinto, who is in the pits right now. Perez coming across the line. Again, he's only got 3 timed laps. This will be his 4th, and he will get 1 more lap maybe as he comes to the line. It was awful close. He does go faster, but still does not improve his time. Eisler across, and Eisler is done for this qualifying. He does improve to a 2 flat 6, extending the goalpost. And it looks like Perez is able to complete this because he's still going, Taylor.
Yeah, Perez might have been able to beat the checker flag. I don't know. He's got about 2.5 a few minutes extra usually on these qualifying sessions they give to let the drivers finish their lap. The majority of them are going to pretty much call it and get back on the pit road. So we'll see what Mr. Benjamin Perez can do.
I'm checking to see if there's anybody still out. Oh, that was his lap almost messed up by Daniel Pinto, who came back out for some reason, and it is done. Ben Perez is going to start no higher than third behind his two championship rivals. The only car still out on track, actually, Thomas Ellison in 17th. And I think we might just watch him finish because we got a full pace lap to read the grid here. So might as well give the 027 a bit of a chance to see if he can improve from the mid-pack.
He's a little under 3 seconds behind Christian Eisler. He's P17 right now. Let's see, he had a good run out of Canada corner, and as he goes to the final few sections of the corners. Real nice, hugging the apron as best he can, hitting the curbs, and a little wide out. But really good run off corner 14 as he heads down the Road America straight. Let's see what his time is right now. Coming to the line. 2:03.03. So he improves the position.
By about 0.2 of a second, he is faster, up to 16th for Thomas Ellison. Nicely done in the dying stages for Thomas. We are going to go to the grid now, however, and the big development has been Christian Eisler, who really needs to take a win here, is going to be on the pole. Daniel Pinto still looking for his first P1 of the season. Will be next to him on that front row. Ben Perez will have to start third. He could still run behind and maybe take this one home just by consolidating things, but I don't see Ben trying that. William Whalen comes back for another go to see if he could have a bit of a longer race today, starting from fourth. Facundo E. Britos comes back once again, one of the drivers who's done very well in his first two races, today being his third. He starts from fifth. Juan Manuel Landini, one of our drivers up towards the top of the points, has been doing quite well this season. Sebastian Maciata, been a bit hot and cold himself. He starts from 7th. Guillaume Dupont starts in 8th position. Pete Mabroten will be P9 at the drop of the green, and driver who had a very good finish last time. In fact, I think his best so far in this series. Michael Overbay starts in 10th. Taylor?
Starting in the 11th position is going to be Justin Hall in that beautiful Ford GT. Starting right beside him, though, is his teammate Aaron Thacker. Aaron running in P5 in the points championship, been putting on a really strong performance with those Fords. In the 13th position is Matthew Fraley, followed by Lucio Vargas in 14th position. Moises Lobato is coming home in the 15th position with a 2-minute 90. And then Thomas Ellison, who we just watched lay down a nice qualifying attempt to get into the 16th position in that Ferrari. Next up is Sean Kenning in the number 34. He'll be starting in the 17th position, followed by the 777 of Mark Feil. Next up is Takashi Kita in the 19th position. He might be in 19th right now, but I think pretty soon before the race is over, we might see him up towards inside the top 15, if not the top 10 before it's done. And then rounding out your top 20 is going to be Eric Liu. Joe, when you finish out the rest of the field?
Absolutely. Danny Duchesne will be P21 at the start, with Andrew Fawcett starting 22nd. Behind them, James LeBlanc will be in P23. Hugo Galaz, we're watching his attempts, which he eventually abandoned, starts 24th. Victor O'Brien behind him in 25th. Cristobal Valenzuela starts 26th spot. And then the last driver to put in a starting time is Gary Schilling in 27th. Karsten Quint will start 29th, and Jean Carini will start in 28th. Both of those drivers not able to get a time in for whatever reason. Still waiting for the roof pace car to take off, as we got just a couple drivers waiting to get to the grid, just making sure they've got the right race fuel in before they get going for 45 minutes here today at Road America. Big talking point since the last two races, and even the stewards were talking to the drivers in the pre-race meeting, Taylor, is the starts of these races. The last two have been a little bit messy. Do you think it's easier on this one since it's a lot less braking into that first corner than some other tracks?
It is, and hopefully these drivers learned and listened to the stewards for this race to try and keep a good start. You got to be careful for those maybe starting in the back of the field. in case that they might overshoot their braking point because they're so focused on the cars around them. So we'll have to really keep an eye on seeing as they make that run down towards turn 1. So looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do.
One I want to keep my eye on that always seems to put on a little bit of chaos in the first lap. Turn 5, one of the most popular passing spots, Taylor, but on lap 1, it sometimes clogs up a bit.
It does, and matter of fact, that is going to be one place to definitely be watching, and I hope we get a really good action going down into turn 5. It's going to be so difficult to try to set up a pass, but yet this is going to be the best opportunity for these drivers on the first lap to gain as much positions as they can. So especially when they're heading up towards the uphill corners of turns 6 and 7.
As they work their way down the moraine, sweep towards 5 right now. Track kind of weaves a little bit back and forth, you can see, as our cameras follow them. Sometimes can make a bit of miscommunication between drivers as they cut across the track, and maybe someone's trying to get by you, stick their nose in at an inopportune time. So a lot easier chances to try and pass compared to the last 2 tracks. We were at Zandvoort over in the Netherlands. We were at Imola over in Italy. Now we come back to the United States for a track with long straights and heavy braking zones. Always ideal to try and give you some chances to get by. But who is going to be able to do so? The drafting, obviously, not that big of an effect back at Imola, but here are the straights long enough that you can maybe get a bit of a draft train going?
Most definitely, especially down towards the moraine sweep as well as the Road America straight. Those are going to be the only really most easiest places to set up a drafting train, in a sense, to make momentum, to build up speed, and to also save fuel. So we'll definitely be seeing a couple of cars maybe try to attempt that. Really looking forward to seeing if anyone will even try to maybe even slingshot or set up a pass even into the turn 1 and turn 5. Those are the best opportunities for these drivers.
Driver to look out for today could be Aaron Thacker. He's starting in 12th, has been moving up the points almost every race, it seems. And the interesting reason that I feel like he's one to watch is he is actually the highest non-Porsche in the points at the moment, scored at 5th. Everything above him are other Porsches, and I think there's actually a couple more behind him before you get to a Ferrari well down the order in the championship. So Thacker making good on what is the not as desired car in this GTE class. There we see quite a decent sized field, thankfully a long lap, so I don't expect traffic to be too much of an issue here.
No, it shouldn't be. Traffic will be not too much of an issue. I think these drivers have learned their lesson from previous events to kind of work with the lead lap cars. And also, it's such a nice, large track, 4 miles. Really, the leaders won't be dealing too much with lap traffic unless, of course, a lap car decides to take a spin or misses a braking point and hit towards the grass. So really not a whole lot of opportunities to worry about lap traffic, as our leaders are now approaching the final corner, turn 14, to head down the Road America straight.
Roof Pace car has control of the field, but only for a few more moments. The driver peels off, and now it's Eisler with control, waiting for the drop of the green as the cars try to get close, and they accelerate away as green flag comes out here in round 8 of the American iRacing Tuesday Series. Pinto with a great start along the outside. Both cars behind them, Whalen and Perez, are boxed in, going the long way around to the first corner. Pinto takes the lead as we have a car off in the background. We'll get back to that in a moment. Still a side-by-side battle between 3rd and 4th. That's between Perez and Whalen. They get it sorted out as Perez gets himself into 3rd.
Yeah, that was Michael Overbay, who went off a little bit off in turn 1, but was able to recover, no problem at all, continuing back on track. They head down towards turn 5. Looks like Eisler is going to try to look, not close enough though, unfortunately. Right on the bumper out of 5 and up towards the Corvette Bridge.
This is the danger zone, seeing if we're going to get any incidents through the field, or did they listen to the stewards about being that little bit more careful? It looks like everyone is through. Oh, except Moises Lobato in turn 6. So it wasn't 5 that was the issue. And that was just a self-spin into the inside wall for him. As they go around the carousel now, Daniel Pinto starting to stretch out even over Eisler. 0.8 of a second gap, and Perez, who was worried earlier about an attack from Whalen, instead is now focusing his sights ahead on the Iceman, his main rival in the past few championships.
Down into Canada corner, it is 3 cars battling it out for second. As we see that Whalen is closing in on Ben Perez and Eisler. Eisler getting a little loose though. As they go down into turn 14, let's see if Ben Perez is going to make a move down and use the draft down the Road America straight, but it's still, Pinto is just slowly pulling away and really doing a nice job of holding his position.
Oh, but Perez is pulling forward up on the rear of Eisler. He ducks out to the inside. Eisler does not try and cover him off. Interesting. As they go into turn 1, I think this one is going to go to Ben Perez. And now Whalen trying to see if he can get into this. That bright highlighter colored car runs out of track before they hit 3.
Looking at Aaron Thacker right now, he's now back inside the top 10 running in 9th. So he was able to get a couple of spots on that first lap. He's now got his sights set on DuPont in that Sprite Taco Bell Porsche. So Thacker using the draft now as they head down towards turn 5. Looks to the inside, not going to be close enough. So as, Pete Mabroten gets hard onto the brakes in turn 5. Manages
to keep it together though. As these guys battle towards the back, up at the front. There was a big mistake from Eisler. Not only has he lost first and second position, but William Whalen had a look on him to try and take third away into turn 6. Don't need to go back to it. He's obviously putting the pressure on. What is going on with Eisler? I wouldn't think there's any sort of concern about fuel. I believe they can go roughly 30 minutes or so, a little bit less than that. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Iceman.
Could be a possibility. Maybe there might be a kink in where he's concerned about maybe not losing it out on that first lap. Maybe just more worried about keeping his car clean right now in these first few minutes. Could be a little bit of strategy. Maybe start making the push towards the front towards the end of the race.
Maybe a tires thing? Do you think that is causing him to back up a little bit?
Could be a possibility. Could be a possibility where he might be saving his tires as best he can.
This is one of our closest fights on the track. I know we haven't shown a whole lot of the mid-pack right now, but everybody else behind very spread apart. And Whalen and his second race trying to get onto the podium to show that he is not going to be taken out after one corner. Well, he's already proved that, but question is, what can he do over the course of the entire race?
Yeah, and Daniel Pinto's really pulling away. It was at 1.2 last lap. This time by, he was at 1.5 back ahead of Ben Perez. So Daniel Pinto doing a really good job right now. So we got, looks like Thacker is closing in again on DuPont as they go down towards turn 5. Down towards the Moraine sweep into turn 5. Not going to be close enough to set up a pass, so but still doing a real good, looks to the inside. Not close enough, unfortunately, but Thacker is going to be all over DuPont these next couple of corners.
Gotta worry though, Mabroten has not let up on them. He could easily get in the fray. Those two go too wide. A little bit farther down, let's jump down to 21st position. Andrew Fawcett in a nice little fight with Moises Lobato, and Lobato made that same mistake on lap 1 through turn 6, and now he's repeated the error and lost another position. I think we didn't catch it live on screen, but let's go to the replay. On the attack, this was on Fawcett, who's in the HJ car just ahead of him, the blue and yellow machine, and then on the brakes, the rear just snapped on him. You see him have to catch it through the grass. That's almost a carbon copy of what happened on lap 1. Is that a brake bias issue, Taylor?
It could be a brake bias issue. It could be a little bit of setup to where he's just over braking into the corner, not braking, on the right brake point, or it could be a setup issue with the aerodynamics of the car.
Heading back up to the front. Perez trying to chase down Pinto. I'm taking a look at their laps, though, to see if Pinto is pulling away.
Yeah, Pinto is. He ran a 2:1:49. So, and compared to Perez's 65, so about a little under 0.2 faster that last lap.
And something with Ellison happening. This is an 11th spot. He just got by Justin Hall, and Justin had to hold off Matthew Fraley behind them. They're going to get another opportunity to see if an overtake can be made as they head down the Moraine sweep. That's Fraley and the red Porsche behind the two yellow and blue machines of Hall and Ellison. Into the braking of 5. Nobody close enough to make anything happen. Oh, big mistake coming off the corner, though, from Justin Hall. Fraley looks to the inside, down into turn 6. He's given the apex, but he can't find the power off of it. Great defense from Justin Hall to hold on to 12.
It goes down through turn 7 into the hurry downs. Nice recovery after that small mistake. Can't be making too many of those mistakes, otherwise Fraley would have easily gotten by.
Speaking of mistakes up ahead, we just saw Ellison go wide through the hurry downs. Unfortunately, lost a little bit of time, but not too much because he's still got a gap back to his teammate. Not missing anything up front. The gap is extended between Eisler and Whalen, so that not really too tight of a fight at the moment.
As Britos has gone off in Canada corner, he's able to recover. Landini got by him, but here comes Maciera. As they go down into turn 14, he's going to try to look. Not close enough to make a pass, but man, very good driving to save the car. Britos was able to do through Canada corner.
Well, and I don't think this is over yet. I wonder if Maciera didn't want to make the move in that corner, because he's going to get a big draft here up the front stretch, but just a little bit too far away. Cars behind them side by side for action. DuPont and Thacker fighting for position.
Thacker had a good run.
He had the inside of turn 1, but didn't quite have enough momentum to keep the speed off of there. He's going to have another go, and once again, beautiful defense from DuPont. Thacker ducks in behind into the slipstream. He's had 2 tries in 2 corners, didn't work. His 3rd time a charm. Defensive move, this time the inside going to DuPont. Oh, did he outbrake himself, though? He's very late on the brakes. And no, he makes the apex. Thacker backing off into potentially the clutches of Pete McBroten, still back there, just licking his chops from the popcorn position.
Both of them getting off a little bit over the curbs a little bit as they went through turn 7 down to the hurry downs, but still able to make a nice recovery as Pete McBroten still waiting for that opportunity to make a pass. Not close enough for anything right now, but if one of those two make a mistake through the carousel or in the kink, it's going to be really close action for Pete McBroten.
Are the curbs pretty tame around this place? Can you take them with the GTRs pretty safely?
Yeah, you can take these pretty safely for the most part. I wouldn't recommend doing it fully going on to the curbs like you would see at a track like Watkins Glen, but these curbs are pretty much safe for the most part. So just be very mindful of knowing where to put your car and not go over the curbs.
Kita currently trying to get a spot from Overbay, and they actually are gaining on time on Sean Kenning as well. Now, Kita started this race in at 19th. He sits in 16th, is looking at another, possibly 2 more positions up. And if you haven't been following the series, this is his MO. The way that he always runs these races seems to be just qualify a little bit farther back, focus on what you're doing for the race, and one by one pick them off.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter where you start, it's how you finish, as he's trying to just get up on the rear end of that Ferrari of Michael Overbay. But Overbay, though, still got his eyes on that Porsche of Kenning's. They head under the Briggs Stratton Bridge into turn 3. Really nice run by Overbay in the 15th position.
Yep, he's going to keep himself safe and extend that gap over Kita down the Moraine sweep, and actually is closing in a little bit on Kenning, but it's more of chipping away. It's not going to give him a chance at an overtake down to 5. He's going to look to the inside anyways. He comes from a long ways back. Whoa.
Very nice pass.
I cannot believe that worked.
I don't think he believed it worked either. He just kind of held his breath and hoped for the best.
Well, he knew it was coming because he ducked to the inside well early. And another pass about to happen. Kenning loses another spot with Takeshi Kita going by.
Yeah, almost the same type of way that Overbay did the same thing to Kennings in turn 5. Now Kita is going to be slowly pulling away from Kennings into the carousel.
We had an off with Vargas at turn 8 just moments ago. This was in a battle with Eric Luke. We're going to look at the replay. This was driver error, but it looks like maybe he was a little bit unnerved by Luke as they come down into the hurried downs right here. Just maybe unsighted a little bit. I think he touched the grass and that spun it right around.
Yeah, just hitting the grass just a little bit. Got him stuck in the kitty litter. So, see if he's able to get the car out. Yeah, no problem at all. That's one thing I wish happened in iRacing. I mean, glad it isn't too much, but if you get stuck in the kitty litter, you're able to pull out. But in real world, he would have probably been stuck quite for some time.
I know that it's going to be a controversial opinion, but I'd like to see gravel traps that actually catch cars and get them stuck. Just because that would, I don't know, I feel like that would really add to the drama of making a mistake. But that's just me. Anyways, back to the racing. Thacker still working on DuPont. And still for that 8th position, he's within about 2 or 3 car lengths of the green Porsche. He's got a slipstream now coming down to 5. DuPont knows it. He goes to cover him off to the inside, comes back to the racing line. Oh, way off the apex for Thacker. Bad mistake through turn 5 means Pete McGroten closes in on his rear spoiler.
Thacker had a really good run, though, out of turn 6 as they head down towards the hurry downs of turns 7 and 8. Let's see if he's able to recover a little bit. Nice run to the corner. Clips the curb a little bit over too much as it goes to the carousel. Nice smooth line as he goes up a little bit to try to gain a little more speed and momentum to make a good run down into the kink. McGroten still not close enough for anything at the moment.
Now, I know these GTE cars have quite a bit of aero on them to help them get through corners quick. And you mentioned that it's flat out through the kink. Is it still flat out following another car, though? Does the aero wash affect them?
If you're, depending on how close. Where Thacker is right now, when he went past through the kink, it would have been not a problem. If he was probably right on the bumper, it might have affected it just a little bit enough to where it washed him just a tad.
These three looks like they're stuck in a stalemate for now. So let's jump back to 22nd position. We've already seen 2 mistakes from Moises Lobato, and Jean Carini is trying to shake another one out of him, but instead it's Jean who unfortunately makes the error as he goes a little wide out of Canada corner. I think they're coming up on lap traffic. No, this is for position. Mark File going slow for some reason. Yeah,
Mark File messed up a little bit in the Canada corner, went off track, and now he's trying to recover, though. But he's got his eyes set on Lovato. Lovato's trying to hold him off a little bit in the middle as they go down the front straightaway. It's going to be a close battle here going into turn 1. He's got the outside line, not the preferred line. File has it inside, but nope, does not want to take a chance.
We need to go to Guillaume DuPont. He's made a big mistake, and he's taken a tow. This happened in turn 3 while he was being pressured by Thacker. We're going to try and pull up the replay. Not a typical place where you see the car come to a halt there, but he just goes wide, it looks like, Taylor.
Yeah, just went wide, and that's really a tough decision to have happen.
As we come back live, that promotes Aaron Thacker up to 8th now. Remember, he started in 12th spot. Nice climb of positions for the driver sitting 5th in the points.
Looking in at the battle for 5th right now, Britos and Landini as it goes through the kink towards Canada corner. Those two have been going at it a little bit. They're not too close at the moment, but saw Britos have a good run through the carousel to close in on Landini.
And as that's happening, Eric Luke just had an off in turn 8. We're going to try and pull up the replay. And another case of a driver clipping the grass under braking, this one with a lot more disastrous results. Look at this. That was a hard hit.
Yeah, not really any safer barrier. That's concrete right there, so that does cause a lot of damage to that Ferrari.
So we come back up front. Again, you haven't really been missing a whole lot. These drivers have just been minding the gap, as you will. Pinto extending it up to a little over 2 seconds over Perez, and then Eisler and Whelan holding at roughly 7/10. There you see our leader, Pinto, looking like he could take his first win. He's got the pace today. And that's one thing I've loved about this series, Taylor, is it seems like each week you're not sure which driver is going to be the fastest. They kind of have strengths and weaknesses throughout the season.
Well, remember talking with Pinto last week at Imola, as we got a pass now going on between Britos and Landini. Landini made a mistake in turn 5. Still was able to save it to prevent Britos from passing. Sorry about that. That was a really good battle going on. But Pinto was saying that Road America was one of his favorite tracks to come and race at, so I'm pretty sure he worked really hard on the setup and testing for this race.
Yeah, gotta maximize on your strengths and not rest on your laurels, and Pinto proving that right now. And as they work their way through the carousel, I think we had a change for position as Moises Lobato. Oh, and Moises Lobato spins again and actually gets hit. Jean Carini just ran into him in turn 6. I think we figured out which corner Moises Lobato dislikes the most at this track. There you see the pass. That was File going by in the red Porsche. And then for the third time that we've seen on screen, there may have been more, the car just comes around and poor Jean Carini just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Poor Lobato, he's just having a rough night with turn 6. And pretty much looking through, out watching some of these other drivers, that's the only driver having a tough time at turn 6.
Carini is able to keep going in 20th, but if he has damage on the front, that could hurt his strange straight line speed. Judging from our cameras, though, I don't see much on the nose.
Yeah, just a little crinkle in the hood for the most part on the bonnet, but other than that, he's just looking fine, no problems. He's going to keep on pushing. Yeah, Vargas is going to try and use the draft now. Knows that Carini had an incident. Going to try and use slipstream right behind him down the front straightaway. Looks to the inside. Is right there on his rear corner. Side by side into turn 1. Carini is able to hold him off into turn 1.
They had to take avoiding action. That was Mark File. And actually, did File hit the wall, or was he just trying to recover the car? No, he didn't hit anything. And I think what we'll see with File, I'm looking at the replay myself on my screen. I think he saw an error from LeBlond just ahead of him. That was the orange car that you saw flash by. And when he saw him having problems, it must have caused him to make an error. And thankfully, is able to get it out of the way in time.
Yeah, nice heads-up driving by the rest of the field to try and avoid Mark File. So really good job. And plus for Mark, not hit anything.
So we come back live. That battle between Vargas and Carini has not abated. You see File's able to get the car going once again. There's Jean Carini.
As Aaron Thacker now is able to get by Sebastian Masseri as they went through Canada corner. Sebastian having a little bit of an off, but there Thacker was right there. Let's get a replay of that right quick. That was a really good pass.
Definitely Thacker taking advantage of other drivers' errors. Really watch this down into Canada corner. I love that. I love how he just is so decisive about the move there. Doesn't hesitate on the power. He just steamrolls by.
And that's one thing I've noticed with Thacker. When he has those good runs, he just picks them off one by one, lets that other person make the mistake. And that's really one of the best ways to be a really good driver with these GTE cars. Someone's going to be bound to mistake.
We got some pit stops happening. Fawcett and Overbay have hit pit lane.
Also, Danny Duchesne's coming in as well.
And we see them coming down to their stalls. Not a track, Taylor, where you want to take an extra pit stop if you can help it.
No, this track is just such a large track. It would be a very bad deal if you end up running out of fuel. So you want to make sure you pack that car full of fuel as Overbay is completed with his stop.
And on screen, we're watching the battle between Maciera and Thacker. Thacker had to go defensive down into the hurry downs. Remember, Thacker was in a battle with DuPont earlier and had to worry about Mabroten. Well, Pete still back there, and that orange machine still ready to try and take advantage, even though he hasn't made an overtake yet on the HJ Motorsports car.
Which 2 wheels into the grass as they went through the kink, both drivers did. So they are really pushing their car down into Canada corner. Oh, hard on the brakes. Mabroten loses it though out of Canada corner.
Tries to get it back on track. Looks like the Fluffy Kitty Ninja car is able to keep going, but a long ways back from the position he was hoping to gain.
Yeah, all that time, all that waiting and seeing who would make the mistake. Someone did, but was not able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, definitely not the one you want to make a mistake when it's yourself. There into Canada corner, just watching him try to collect the car and somehow keeps it out of the concrete. As we're watching that replay, Maciera just made the pass into turn 1 on Aaron Thacker. Gets it back for now. I have a feeling Thacker's not going to sit down and take that. Look at him get right on top of him. Did he hurt his exit, though, there, Taylor?
No, not too much. He still has a good run. He's thankfully close enough to where the draft will be in effect as they head down the Moraine Straight into turn 5. Maciera goes to the inside to throw a defensive position. Still locks up the brakes. Ooh. Thacker, though, trying to cross over. Not close enough to make the pass under the Corvette bridge into the infamous turn 6 for some drivers. Back down into turn 7. Thacker not close enough, though. Down into the hurry downs.
Stay with this, but an update. Hall, Vargas, Valenzuela, and LeBlanc have all pitted as well. We're starting to see more drivers come in. The leaders tend to go long to try and keep from getting stuck in cars who have yet to pit. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing yet again, as it's mostly drivers mid-pack and back that have come in for their scheduled stop. Right now, highest pitter in 19th, that is Justin Hall in the 164.
Thacker had a good run into the kink. I don't know what happened to Maciera, but it seemed like he missed a mark or something. So they head down in the Canada corner. Thacker, though, all over again on the bumper of Maciera. Really good show between these two drivers.
Yeah, judging by what we've seen so far, Seb looks a little bit more erratic than Thacker. Thacker is just nice and smooth. He rifles the laps off, and he's going to take a strategic route as he pits.
Also, it looks like Britos has come into pit road as well, so a couple of our front runners now starting to consider it's time to make a pit stop.
Yeah, they should be able to come out easily ahead of Justin Hall. There we see our highest pitter, the Floridian, still in 19th, hasn't taken any position since we last looked. He's only just out of the kink. And right now, Thacker and Britos are in their pit stalls. Sean Kenning takes his stop.
Victor O'Brien now coming down to the pit road. He's been quiet tonight, having no problems. Along with Mark File as well. He's making his pit stop.
There we see Thacker out. Britos also left. Britos continues in 11th, Thacker and 13th. And what about our top drivers? Are they getting close to the pit entry? Daniel Pinto, with the gap now up to 2.4 seconds over Ben Perez, is heading up to Canada corner. So why don't we stick on Daniel here to see what happens with his lap, if this is enough for him or if he keeps going. paint scheme.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix between the old Rothman's Porsche, but with a little bit of extra color to it.
They're the very marine influenced, being team sailors. It feels appropriate. All they need is the Donald Duck hat.
Eisler is now making his pit stop now.
Well, Eisler started this race on the pole, but unfortunately has been back in third pretty much the whole way. Not as good in the race as he was in qualifying. Yep, Landini joins him and Massietta. Sorry about that, Taylor.
No worries at all. Ellison now is getting by those guys. Let's see what Massietta and the teammates of Landini and Eisler will be able to do if they have a fast pit stop. See where they come out when they come off a pit road. Pete McBroden is also in, so we got everyone starting to now come in, as Kita is also on pit road. So
okay, Eisler has been in and out, and he's going to be the highest pitter now. Now, what about Britos and Landini? Weren't they in a close battle? And they are in a close battle again here, as Landini comes out right behind Fasundo.
Let's see what the rookie of Britos is able to do to hold off one of our championship front runners, Landini, as they head down the Moraine straight into turn 5. Landini is not close enough to make any moves at the moment, but he's got a car fuel of fuel now and able to add a little weight to the car and maybe close in on Britos. As Matthew Fraley, though, loses it in turn 8, hits the wall pretty hard. It's just right before the carousel, continuing on in track.
Wonder, no, I was just taking a look at it to see if it was worth getting a replay, but looks like he just glanced it off the tires and is able to keep going.
Leader is in. Daniel Pinto, Benjamin Perez, and William Whalen are all coming down pit road. All three of the Porsches in pit road speed about 45 mile an hour. So, of course, no real issue as long as you use your pit limiter speed button. And don't make sure to turn it off when you exit pit road.
Well, as long as you don't charge it too aggressively, but I have a feeling every 10th counts here in these pit stops with how much difficulty these top runners have had trying to get up to one another to overtake. Pinto hits his stall cleanly. Perez does as well.
Ellison also just got on pit road. Whalen almost missed his pit box. As here comes Pinto off pit road.
Eisler's got a head of steam. I'll be surprised if he gets up to him, though. He was well far back. Perez is out. And Eisler continues where he was, but he's right on the tail of Ben Perez, his championship rival. He has got to get by him and start to make some points over him.
Yeah, this is the time now. He has the momentum. He has the more race pace speed at the moment. Perez, though, is still able to hold him off. Not close enough for anything at the moment. Whalen, though, had a really slow pit stop, unfortunately, so he's got a lot of ground to gain to catch back up to Eisler. So let's see what he can do in these last few moments. Speaking
of pit stop times, Daniel Pinto, 2 seconds faster than Ben Perez in his stall. That's extended the gap up to 4.5 seconds now between Daniel and Benjamin. 2/3 of the way into the race. Now that we've had all of the pit stops completed, let's give you the rundown of the top 10. I'll go with these first 5 heading to our leader. Daniel Pinto starting on the front row. A great jump on the green flag meant he had the opportunity to make the pass, and that really set the tone for his race as he's just started to run away with things with this lead. Ben Perez started on the second row, and he was able to overtake Christian Eisler and get into second, but hasn't had anything for Daniel Pinto, who's been incredibly dominant. Back in third, it has been Christian Eisler, and oh, we got to step away from this call because William Whalen just ran into the wall in the kink, and it's a hard hit.
Let's see if we can get a replay of that.
His day is over. He's taken a toe just a little bit to the outside into the grass, and, well, the green stuff does not grip as well as the black stuff.
No, not indeed. That was one of the things where it happens, where he just missed his mark. As we go back live, unfortunate event for William Whalen.
Let's pick back up on Eisler in third, who we were talking about. Started on pole, the 727 did. He was looking good to try and take some points on Perez to try and get his first championship in PRL, but unfortunately, this race is not making that look as likely as he sits in third. Facundo Britos, with the accident we just saw with Whalen, this promotes him up to fourth, one spot up from where he started. Then, top five are rounded out by Juan Manuel Landini, who also jumps up one spot from where he started into fifth. What do the next five of the top 10 look like there, Taylor?
Well, in sixth position, gaining a lot of positions, as a matter of fact, in that 4GT, Aaron Thacker working his way up through the field, pretty much letting other drivers make the mistakes and then just attacking on those opportunities. Following right behind him as they go through turn 6 is Sebastian Masseri as they head down into turn downs. He's been quiet as well, running his race, but battling with Aaron Thacker for the majority of this race. Along right behind them in the 8th position is Pete Mabroten. These three have just been battling all night long, and that Pete Mabroten in that fluffy Kitty Ninjas Porsche has been really putting on a good show for the race tonight. In the 9th position in that Ferrari of HJ Motorsports is Thomas Ellison. Thomas just got done with a pit stop, so he's going to try to use that advantage to gain some position and try to get by Pete Mabroten. And rounding out your top 10 is Matthew Fraley. Fraley's been quiet for the most part, able to gain some very good positions. Starting in the 13th position, gained about 3 spots, so he's been doing a really good job handling the traffic here tonight.
Despite having a little bit of a run-in with the tires, we jump back up to what you saw through your rundown, and that's the battle for 8th spot. Pete Mabroten in the 15 and Thomas Ellison in the 027. Mabroten was up farther. He was trying to get by Aaron Thacker, but a mistake in Canada Corner has put him back, and he has not been able to recover up to Aaron. In the meantime, Ellison starting to size him up. Not close enough as they run down the Road America straight, though, Taylor.
No, he is not close enough. Ellison's going to need to see if Pete Mabroten can make a mistake into turn 1. No, still nice line for both drivers as Ellison gets off just a little bit. So you got to be careful, make sure not to go off too much. Down under the Briggs Stratton Bridge into turn 3. Really good job by both of these drivers to keep racing hard as we're down to the final few minutes.
Well, that unfortunately separates the battle because it's now up to a second between them. That makes the closest one just up ahead of them for 4th place. Juan Landini, he wants one more, and he's looking at the number 61 hungrily because Facundo Britos is next on the road.
I do gotta say, the rookie of Britos has been doing really good these past few races, having a nice clean run right now, running in the 4th. Landini, though, knowing he has a team championship on the line, plus try to gain as many more points as he can in the Drivers' Championship, is going to be really pushing hard on Britos to try and help his team get the team championship.
Yeah, Britos came in way off there for Landini, and he saves it.
Really good job by him. He just went off a little bit too high through the kink as they head down into Canada Corner.
We might want an onboard replay of Landini there. He almost experienced exactly what Whalen just did. He was well off into the grass. Now, what's the difference between the two? Do you think that Landini lifted, or how did he save it, but Whalen did not?
Well, let's see. If we look on board, looking at the car, he is lifted just a little bit by the sound of the car, but not too much. Just let it breathe a little bit. Both Landini and, by the looks of it, also Britos, just a small breathe to make sure the car is able to stabilize going through the corner.
Whatever the case, it allows Landini to continue on within touching distance of Britos. They come around turn 3. Confusing, I'm sure, for anybody who's counting and seeing, wait, that looks like the second corner. I know, they number them oddly here. Must be a Wisconsin thing.
I guess.
I'll have to ask Tanner See if he knows why in the world they've done that. We ride on board with Landini looking back and still just doing a great job keeping cool and collected to keep Juan from going on the attack. Just 8.5 minutes left to go on the clock. So time is ticking down. We haven't missed anything between our top runners. Pinto has stretched it out to 4.8 seconds. So bit by bit, he's continuing to pull himself away from our championship leader. And Christian Eisler, interesting. Remember, he came out very closely behind Ben Perez. Well, it's now 2 seconds between them.
Yeah, really the biggest battle between right now is between Landini and Britos. It's still about several car lengths back between those two, but looking at the lap times between Eisler and Perez, Eisler ran a little bit faster, about almost a tenth faster than Perez that last lap. So let's see what they're doing as they go down towards the front straightaway.
Yeah, just not gaining on him, really.
No, they're pretty much running dead even for the most part on lap times.
For all the luck that Christian Eisler had at the start of the season, it swung the other way. An accident in Zandvoort caused him to lose many points. And then an accident at Imola has caused him to lose even more points. We come now to Road America, and when time starts to get critical, he just doesn't seem to have the pace to catch the number one. Back behind them, Landini and the 444 getting ever closer to the 61.
Looks to the inside, let Britos know, hey, I'm here, I want to get by you. But Britos just keeps on holding his line and focus on the track ahead of him.
How effective do you think that really is when drivers start to get psychological like that and poke their nose out even though they're way too far back to make an attempt?
It depends on the driver. For a rookie driver, I mean, I'm pretty sure Britos is very familiar with driving these cars in other series as well. But maybe for a rookie, depending on how a driver is, it might just get that driver to think a little bit. But for the most part, psychological games can be very mixed on how a driver, usually for an oval background like myself sometimes, mostly letting the driver know can be a little bit nerve-wracking because you're always wanting to make sure, hey, this guy's there, but where is he now? So it's going to be close to see what Britos can do with the psychological games of dealing from Landini.
Got another off from Mark Feil about 40 seconds ago. Coming through 13A, one of the more unassuming corners, but incredibly difficult. There you see, he's actually taken it into the pits. Looks like we're going to look at the replay here. I think this is just simply a wide entry. There we saw just the end of it. Looks like, here we go.
Going down through Thunder Valley. Already got some damage as well, but looks like he just missed the apex down in the Bill Mitchell bend and just keeps it in the grass to let traffic go by.
So we come back live. Haven't missed anything because Landini and Britos still 4th and 5th. Haven't swapped positions, and now, in fact, Britos pulling away a little bit. He's up to the gap to 1 second.
Under 5 minutes to go, so this is going to be the time for Landini to try to figure something out to get by Britos, but looks of it, Britos is going to keep his head down and just drive away.
Let's take a look, because we really don't have any battles happening at the moment. We'll interrupt if something does start happening, but let's look at the movers of the race in this one, because we've had a few. Aaron Thacker from 12th to 6th. It gets a lot harder to make up positions when you're at the top of the field, so those 6 spots for Thacker are very hard earned. A little bit behind him, Ellison, how about this? His HJ Motorsports teammate has gone from 16th to 9th, so he's gone up 1 more position even. And then a little bit farther down, Valenzuela. Get this one, 26 to 15th, Taylor, as he goes a little wide at turn 5 there.
Yeah, really good effort by Valenzuela. Almost a little over 10 positions gained in that triple three. So Gary Schilling also gained 7 positions in that number 17. Ferrari was able to put on a good show and just keep his nose clean. He's currently the last car on the lead lap, so really good job.
And sounds like the battle between Britos and Landini is broken up even more. 1.6 apart as we go to Daniel Pinto. It's dropped a little bit of its time. It was 4.8 not long ago. It's 4.3. Now, I hate to pull a bit of a Bills on here, but 2 seconds faster in the pits, and Ben Perez starting to gain close to the end. Is there a fuel issue for Daniel?
Depends. It depends on if they got the car right, all the right amount of fuel in the car, and if possibility. So we have to wait and see if there's any more problems. And this is not a track where you want to be running out of fuel, because especially if you're on one end of the track, you have another 2 miles to try to get back to pit road.
And Iser's still in this as well. He's about 1.5 seconds behind Perez. But since I said that, it was 4.3. It's now 4.0 between Pinto and Perez. Very interesting stuff. I kind of wondered when he had such a fast stop, but didn't really want to say anything.
Looking in right now between Ellison and Pete Mabroten, those two have kind of pulled away from a little bit, but then started to draw back in now as they head out of the hurry downs into turn 8 and into the carousel. So it's starting to heat up just a little bit, not too much, but looking at the lap times, Ellison almost 4 to 3/10 faster that last lap between the two. So Ellison's been reeling him in here.
Let's stick with our leaders here, because the white flag is coming out now for Daniel Pinto. It's down to 3.8 seconds between himself and Perez. So in one lap, a half a second lost for Daniel Pinto. Now that's not going to lose him the race since he's still got 3.8.
As we see him go by the 17 of Gary Schillings, just moving aside, letting him go on by. Daniel Pinto doing a really good job right now.
3.7 seconds, another 10th goes away. Perez pushing hard, seeing if he could take another win. He has the most so far this season. And in fact, the other thing that we should point out with Pinto is that there have been only 2 winners all season. That is Eisler and Perez. Pinto would be only the 3rd different winner in 8 rounds.
Well, he's doing a really good job of just keeping pace. He might just be enjoying the race, making sure not to make any mistakes, just bring the car home. He has a nice enough gap to where he can still maintain it. So it goes through the carousel for the final time.
And you can see from the onboard looking back that it looks like he can't even see Perez. He's got enough of a gap. Now he's going to be aware of the gap most likely. Every driver on iRacing has a little box they call the F3 box that allows you to see the times between the drivers that are near you and yourself. So he'll see that 3.5 and he'll have seen it's coming down unless he's turned it off and just doesn't want to know. But with 1 more corner to go and 3.5 seconds between them, I don't think there are any worries at all, as Daniel Pinto has taken 2nd place after 2nd place. But today, despite his last name being Chick in Portuguese, he is a baby no more. Daniel Pinto is our winner for round 8. Perez takes 2nd and Eisler 3rd. Closest battle we have is between Ellison and Mabroten. Everybody else very spread apart.
Looking at that right now as they got out of Canada corner going through Thunder Valley, Ellison messed up a little bit in the Canada corner, so this might give Pete Mabroten that 8th position for the most part. So really good job between those two in battling it out for this final lap.
Indeed, Mabroten consolidating his 8th place, even though I'm sure he wanted more. We've got Fraley getting in behind them in 10th position. We do have a battle going on for 14th. Kenning and Valenzuela not far apart. They've got one last corner to go. We've seen Kenning before, a little bit timid on the brakes, but this time he's got it coming off the corner solid. And he is going to take this 14th place just barely ahead of both Valenzuela, and that's Vargas behind them. I think Fawcett's going to be our last car across the line on the lead lap. Or is it O'Brien? Looks like it's going to be O'Brien. There's Fawcett finishing up in 17th. Duchesne finishing a lap down. Victor O'Brien's our last one across the line. With nobody else yet to finish, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, and stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. The very first race of the season here in the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series made it seem like it was a matter of time before Pinto got his first win. And well, here at Road America, he finally made it happen. Our winner today for the finishing order is going to be Daniel Pinto. Ben Perez follows him home. He chased him down towards the end, but we suspect that Daniel was just managing his pace just to bring it home safe. Christian Eisler just could not catch Ben, and he has to settle for third, furthering the distance between Perez and Eisler in the points. Facundo Britos will take home a fourth. He was in a nice little fight with Landini for most of the race, and Landini is going to finish fifth behind him. Aaron Thacker, once again, a bit like Kita farther down in the field, except Aaron Thacker very much using consistency in his pace to get good results. He gets sixth today. Sebastian Maciera takes the seventh place behind him with Pete Mabroten in a couple battles throughout. One mistake cost him what could have been more, but still, 8th place is one up from where he started. Thomas Ellison takes a 9th, and Matthew Fraley, despite brushing the wall, gets a top 10. Taylor?
Finishing in 11th position is Justin Holland at 164 Ford GT. In the 12th position is Michael Overbay in the 36 Ferrari. Takeshi Kita, he started back towards the back but worked his way up inside the top 15 in 13th position, followed by Sean Kenning in 14th. Cristobal Valenzuela also rounding out your top 15. In 16th is Lucio Vargas, had a really good run today along with Andrew Fawcett in the 17th position. Hugo Galaz had a really good run in the 18th position in that number 18. Victor O'Brien is your last car that finishes on the lead lap in 19th, followed by Gary Schilling rounding out your top 20. Joe, you want to take the last few?
Danny Duchesne's going to finish in 21st, exactly where he started. Mark File, bit of a bad day today. He takes 22nd. Same thing with Jean Carini, only able to get up to 23rd after he didn't have a qualifying time. William Whalen, disappointment once again. He's fast in qualifying, but just doesn't seem to have the luck to get good results in the race. He gets 24th today. James LeBlanc is going to finish in 25th behind him. Moises Lobato, with multiple mistakes into turn 6, winds him up into 26. Eric Luke was 27th after he had a hard hit in the hurry downs, and Guillaume Dupont has to settle for 28th because of the kink, taking another victim. Karsten Quint is going to finish in 29th with a did not start, I believe. With that, we have some of our drivers ready to talk to, including our winner this time, Daniel Pinto, who's finally at the top step of the podium. How does it feel, Daniel?
Well, I got that out of the race, so I'm happy.
I can imagine. After, what was it, 4 second places this season, do you think there's more forthcoming with more wins before we're done?
Well, I don't know, because this track is, well, usually my best track. I still don't understand this car very well, so, well, let's see.
We saw that at the end, the gap was all the way up to 4.8 seconds, and then by the time the checkered flag came out, it was just over 3. Were you simply managing the pace, or was there any worries with fuel?
Well, someone put some sand on the kink and I almost died twice, so I backed out a little bit.
Well, regardless, you seem to have come out with a fantastic result this time. The other good news in this is you are actually still well up there in the points. Do you think the championship is possible, or is it too tall of a hill to climb in only 2 rounds?
Well, if I can get 2 good races and if Ben crashes out on at least one of them, yes, I still have a chance.
All right.
But I think it's like 20 points at the moment.
Something like that. I think it was 19 coming into this race, counting the drop races.
Yeah, counting the drop races, 19. Yeah. Well, I must have 2 great races, and Ben needs to have an awful one at least. So it's too difficult.
All right. Well, regardless, you've given us a good rookie season, an exciting rookie season to watch of yours, and we hope to see you back next season if you don't win this one.
Well, I hope I can be back next season. My work schedule is a bit irregular, so I'm not sure if I can be back, but I will try to be back, or at least I'll try to have someone from my team in this series, because those are fast guys. It's just the time slot is not the ideal one, but I think I can get at least 1 or 2 of my guys to come here, and in this car they are usually faster than me, so maybe we can have some action.
Absolutely, and they can give Ben Perez a run for his money. Thanks again, and congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you, guys. See you next week, hopefully.
So that was our winner, Daniel Pinto. In the meantime, Taylor has caught up with second place driver and championship leader Ben Perez.
Well, we're here with Ben Perez, and Ben finishing second tonight. Probably a really good points night for you to help extend your lead over Eisler. Tell us how the car felt and how your race was for you tonight.
Well, it was a pretty intense race. I mean, there was really, even though it might not have looked like it, it definitely was a bit of a nail biter for me. I just had to keep Christian behind me, especially. Daniel winning isn't as big a deal for me, I guess. But keeping Christian behind me was definitely my goal for tonight. And it was going good. I had a pretty decent gap. I think it was like maybe 3-4 seconds or so before the pit stops. But I ended up overfueling because I thought it was going to go 23 laps as opposed to 22. So I ended up losing quite a bit of time to Christian there. But I ended up holding him off at the end. So happy with that, extending the points lead. And yeah, pretty happy with that overall.
Yes, indeed. So we have a couple of races now left. Are we looking to see you back in victory lane hopefully next week at the next round, or do we see you just playing the points race to just try to keep Eisler behind you?
Well, the goal is always to definitely be in victory lane. However, it's becoming less and less critical that happens now that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. So my overall goal is definitely to just keep Christian behind me. Even if he does finish in front of me, as long as it's not, me crashing out or something drastic like that, then I should be okay. But like I said, obviously the goal always is to try and win. But my long-term goal will be to stay ahead of Christian.
All right. Well, good luck to you next week at the Nürburgring, and we will see you then.
Thank you.
A little afraid.
And looks like we have Christian Eisler joining us, our third place finisher today. Unfortunately, losing points on Ben Perez with that third place finish. Christian, how do you feel after starting on the pole and slipping down 2 spots?
Yeah. It was a good race. My primary objective today was finish the race. Because last week in Imola only 1 lap for me. Second objective was to be a good pace, and I think I can achieve that from the third lap. And unfortunately, I lost 2 spots in the beginning of the race. So final objective is not achieved.
Yeah, it seemed like you were struggling at the start. We were a bit surprised that you got overtaken both by Pinto and Perez.
Yeah.
Does this put the championship out of your mind, or are you not giving up on it?
Today I'm thinking in the team championship more than the driver championship. It's very difficult. Ben is a very consistent driver, and I think I step back from him in terms of pace in races. In hot lap, I think I am competitive with him today, but in races I think I feel a little bit slower in long races.
It certainly bore fruit today with you struggling to catch him in the end. Obviously, next round is going to the Nürburgring and to the GP course. Do you consider that one a strong one for you?
Yes, I like that circuit very much. I think it's first time with IMSA cars for me, but I like it, and I will practice. Hopefully, I can beat Ben and Daniel next week.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you give them a go, and at least congratulations on a podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was Christian Eisler, third place finisher here today. And that's going to close up our interviews for the race. Of course, one last time, we want to give a big thank you both to League Gaming for sponsoring this race. Again, go to leaguegaming.com to check them out, and to the team of Fluffy Kitty Ninjas, who actually have their own Twitch channel where you can go and check them out with Commish HLB. I also want to thank the organizers of the Precision Racing League and the American iRacing Tuesday series for coming back to us for this season. It's been an exciting one. Lots of cool twists and turns in this very feel-good story today with Pinto's win. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that you see listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go out to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. Mention it, we're going to the ring next week. That'll be the GP course that they're driving. It'll be Tuesday, August 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.